G'day folks, it's Rob here and welcome to our YouTube channel. In today's clip we're going to be taking a bit of a wander around the back patch. This is actually part 2 of a 2-part series, just looking at how things are going in our mid-spring garden here in southeast Queensland, Australia. In today's clip we're going to be looking at a few things like a volunteer tomato, the veggie pod, also the root pouch gardens, quick look at the aquaponics, the mango tree, blueberry bush down the back, and also our coffee plant. So rather than me just nattering on, I'll let you guys have a look for yourselves. Just inside the back gate here we have a volunteer cherry tomato. It just came up out of the compost that we have in a tray here. This compost is fairly old, so I just use it to add a little bit of microbiology to new root pouches as I set them up. I'm not using a great deal of it in anything. But anyway, these tomatoes, as you can see, this plant is absolutely loaded. We were going to pull this plant out before the rain, mainly because we had some friends over, g'day Mark and Alison, and we tasted these fruit and they were very, very tart. So a little bit too acid for our liking, but what we thought we'd do is we'd pull the plant out and we'll process all these small cherry tomatoes into a paste and maybe add a little bit of honey or sugar in there, something to sweeten them up a bit, and that way they're not going to go to waste. And any of the green fruit, we'll just leave them on the vine and let them ripen up and do the same thing over time. We've done that a few times now. I see no point keeping a plant like this, even though it's extremely productive. I see no point in keeping it if we don't like the flavour of the fruit. And just down in here we have our little pineapple. There's 2 of them in there. These poor little pineapples, they're been sitting in this pouch in a tray of water, and I've been emptying the tray of water every day. I definitely don't want these guys to end up with some sort of root rot. They had some little flowers on them the other day, but I think they've pretty much all finished, the pair of them. I think this little one down in there was the last one to set its flowers. They are a fascinating little plant to watch grow and fruit. Over here in the veggie pod, I've done a bit of a clean out in here. I'll actually do another clip on the veggie pod, but I've taken all the lettuce out and we've started to harvest the beans. We've had a few small handfuls off, and I'd say there's another couple of handfuls to take off. So they've just sort of outgrown the pod a bit and are hanging out the sides. Just down in here we have a dog that keeps laying a ball at my feet, so we'll just throw this for Lizzie. We've got the blueberries. All these tray gardens, by the way, I've been emptying the water every second day because I don't want mosquito larvae to build up in here and then, you know, become a pest elsewhere. So that's just one of the bits of maintenance I've had to be doing. Just with the amount of rain we've had, it's a bit of a necessity. This little blueberry down here, this is the blueberry burst, is looking slightly deficient. So it was suggested by someone that it could be because it's so wet sitting in a tray of water all the time. So I am going to feed this and the other blueberries up in the next day or so. I'm just waiting for the rain to stop again. The bananas in these root pouches are going really well. I've actually had a fair few people ask me about growing bananas in root pouches. I don't think I'd grow them in the 30 gallon or 113 litre again. As you can see, there's 3 plants in there and they are putting a bit of pressure, stretching out the root pouch. This one here is our decast banana. It's got some fruit on, as you can see up there. So it's got 1 main stalk and it's got 4 suckers down the base, and it's just too much. I think I'd probably go up to the next size, which I think is a 45 gallon or 170 litre, and what I do is pull out those suckers every time they turn up, mainly because, you know, there's only so much nutrient in there. If you can jam pack it full of good quality compost and rich potting soil, you're sort of getting a bit of a good head start, and then feeding it up with liquid fertilizers through the season and top dressing it with compost as the soil level falls in them. I'm sort of growing these guys for the suckers at the moment because I want to put them out in wicking beds down the back. Down in here we have the other root pouch garden that is going gangbusters. This garden here is just pouches sitting in trays of water. We've got a mint, a society garlic and oregano just in a little hedge pouch down the end here. And there's also some strawberries down in the middle. There's believe it or not, there's a ginger somewhere in there. There's a hoe and knock, which is a Vietnamese green or herb, and it started to flower. And down the front here we've got a little compact capsicum. We've actually got one that's doing a lot better than this over in the veggie pot over there. And up the back we have our sunshine chili. It's got a new flush of fruit on. And again, as you can see, there is a little bit of a deficiency in here. These guys haven't been fed up for a while. So as soon as the rain stops, we'll get some feed in here for these guys. Just in the back section of the garden, we have 3 bags of ginger in the center. These 2 ones haven't shot as far as I can tell. This one over there, buried under some warrigal greens, is a Australian native ginger, and it seems to be doing all right. And if I can get this phone to move around, we might actually see a blue-banded bee. I don't know if you can make that little fella out, but here's a blue-banded bee. He's just buzzing around the flowers here at the moment. So I don't think he'll hang around too much longer. They're a little native bee, they're a buzz pollinator, so they'll hop in a flower and then they do their little buzzing thing, which is great if you've got perfect flowers because it releases the pollen onto the female parts from the male parts. But with these cucumbers, they're an imperfect flower, so what that means is he'll hop on the male and then go to a female and transfer the pollen that way. And you'll end up with a fruit like we have down the base here. We have a cucumber I missed and it's sitting down the base, so I need to harvest that. Yesterday while I was shooting a clip for Patreon, I noticed I have a load of whitefly on here, so I will be getting the eco oil out and giving these guys a spray, trying to look after the whitefly before they become too much of an issue. Just quickly down in here, this is I dare say a purple Congo potato that has popped up in one of the ginger pouches. I must have used recycled potting soil with a small little potato in it. There's another one down there. And all this warrigal greens you can see sort of overtaking this is coming out of a small pouch just down in there. It's a little 12 litre pouch that's supposed to have some ginger in it. So that yeah, definitely needs to be looked after. I need to trim it right back and process those greens along with some others that I wanted to show you. Just down in this little bed here, we have our first sign of life from the ginger. There's 8 gingers in here along with a yellow bull's horn and a broccoli that really doesn't need to come out over the back there. So I'm really chuffed to see the first signs of life from this ginger. Only one. I was a little bit concerned that it may be just a little bit too moist in here and not draining freely enough, but it looks to be okay. A little compost worm down in there. So hopefully the gingers will be fine, just a little bit slow out of the gate. Maybe it hasn't been warm enough for them yet, so we'll just wait and see. Oh, and down there, another purple Congo potato. I probably should be pulling that one out. The rest of the aquaponics is going great guns, very green. There's a little bit of maintenance that I should have done to it by now, but I haven't gotten around to it. And namely that is clearing out this end bed over here. I need to clean it out. I think there's a solids build-up issue in there, but you can check out an upcoming aquaponic clip on that one. We do have a nice rabbit ear lettuce that we'll be harvesting soon, so I'm going to be turning that one into a floating raft. And those little white flowers there are from a daikon radish. Hopefully we're going to get some seeds set on those guys, because I would like to get some more seeds. I had some a couple of years ago, but I think I gave them all away, and not all of them were viable, unfortunately. Just down in here in this bed, I've got a little bit of vacant real estate after I took out some lettuce. These guys here are just going to be going to seeds. Down here I'll be planting out, I think I've got 5 bits of ginger set aside with some nice shoots on them from last year's crop. They'll be going in there to grow some more aquaponic ginger. And the little zucchini over there are doing so-so as well. And as always, the Brazilian spinach is just powering along. I don't think I've shown you guys the pond much. Down here in the pond, I don't know if she's going to stay still, but we do have a rather large goldfish down in there with a whitetail cloud minnow or a cloud minnow, and a load of little firetail gudgeons, which are a native mosquito fish. So yeah, the pond's going all right. It's just got some duckweed around the top there, some purple taro in a root pouch along with some duck potatoes or arrowhead. So yeah, pretty pleased with the way that's going. I dare say that pouch needs to be replaced for a larger one. Well, guess what I've just found? I've just found one of Lizzie's balls. There you go, Lizzie. She's sitting right behind me waiting to play ball, by the way. A couple of nice limes on the tree. I was asked how the mango crop was going, and unfortunately we've lost a lot of the lower ones to the bacterial black spot. That one there is starting to succumb to it. Some of these lower, smaller ones, they've already perished because of it, so a lot of the fruit has fallen off due to that. Also too, with the rain we've had a lot of high winds, so there's a few fruit on the ground as well. But from the house though, it looks like the fruit at the top of the tree isn't as badly affected, so we should end up with a few decent fruit from the harvest. Just down here behind the aquaponics is a little project I wanted to get started last week, but the rain came, and that's a little wicking tray for a root pouch, and in that root pouch I'll be putting some black turmeric. Thank you very much, Quoc Hugh, for the black turmeric. I really do appreciate it. It's a fairly rare form of turmeric. It's actually a little bit more medicinal than the normal Curcuma longa, so that will be going in there. I might actually shoot a clip on that, how I'm putting this one together, because it's a bit different to my last one. And I'll also show planning out the turmeric and also the aquaponic ginger. We'll do that a little bit later. Down here we have our little native bees, these little Hocking's eyes, or tetragonula Hocking's eyes. I don't think they were too fond of the rain we had over the last week or so, but they've been out in force today. And just behind them we have a coffee in a root pouch. This little coffee bush was growing in a 30-litre root pouch from memory, and I transplanted it just over a month ago now into a large 56-litre or 15-gallon root pouch, and I was very impressed when I took the plant out of the root pouch itself. There was no root boundness whatsoever. The root system looked very, very healthy, and it's just exploded out of the gate as soon as I put it in here. We've had 2 flushes of flowers on here. Just down in here we have a couple of little fruit that look like they're set. So looking at where all these other past flowers have been, I dare say we might be getting a cup of coffee out of this plant this year. And I did notice yesterday when I was filming a clip for Patreon that we do have a few more flowers on the way, only 1 or 2, nothing like the explosion of blooms we saw the other week. This little pouch too is in another tray. This tray here is the top of a barrel, so with the barrels you end up with a couple of lumps protruding into the bottom of the tray, and what I've done is put a paver either side and an old root pouch in the center, so any water will wick up through the root pouch and into the bottom of the root pouch the plant is in. I actually got that idea from Stevie, one of our patrons, so thank you very much, mate. Also down the back here we've got a couple of wicking beds. This one here has got a couple of volunteers in it. A volunteer long purple eggplant, parsley and warrigal greens over the back, and there's 4 different types of ginger in there as well. I planted them out last year. I haven't seen any sign of any new leaves yet, but as with the other ginger, it's always a little bit slow out of the gate. So we're down here with the blueberry. We actually net it here because we have problems with Queensland fruit fly getting in and laying larvae in the fruit. You'll probably be able to make out through the netting there. We do have a nice lot of blueberries on. We've already harvested a small handful or 2, as well as a nice sizable bowl's worth the other day. I did feed it up a lot better this season and added some extra potassium, and I think that's helped with the size of the fruit. So I thought I'd finish the clip here in the hoop house, just showing you what's growing on. We've got a parsley that's going to seed up there and will slowly spread throughout the patch again, no doubt. We have some warrigal greens just there and some perennial leeks that we like to harvest for things like frittatas and also stews and soups. A lot of them actually get given away to visitors and friends. Just over in this bed here we have a perennial collard, tree collard. It's gone to flower. The seeds have set. We've got some new growth on that, so it's time to give that a bit of a haircut. We've also got some more perennial leeks down here, and just below me here we have some onions that have gone to seed, as well as some more parsley. Now the big mat of green there in the middle is our warrigal greens. They've pretty much all started off as volunteer plants and they've spread out over the walkway. You can probably see where Lizzie trampled them down just before to come and bring me a ball. So these guys here are an absolutely fantastic plant. I've actually just done a post on our website if you wanted to check it out, just up in there, how to grow warrigal greens. They're pretty much well our spinach plant of choice here at the moment. We have used the perennial charge or perpetual chard before, but these guys here just seem to grow well for us 12 months of the year. But yeah, I think I will pretty much will leave it there because there's a little lass over there that'll want to go for a walk very soon. So I will leave it there, folks. I do hope you've enjoyed this little spring update on what's growing on in our patch. Don't forget to check out the Warrigal Greens growing guides and also our super contributors from Patreon down in the description below there. I do hope you're all well and happy and that your gardens are booming, and I will catch you next clip. Cheers all, have a top one.